Welcome, and we are so excited to have you join us in today's information session about teaching in today's classroom. We are Team 1, and we hope you enjoy. Here is today's agenda. We will begin with what to expect and move on to the growth pattern of children, child and adolescent development. We will then talk about cognitive, cultural, and socioeconomic diversity. We have several handouts available for you to download digitally. These handouts will give you more information about childhood development and teaching in today's classroom. So, you want to be a teacher? Teaching is a very challenging yet rewarding career. There are so many students with diverse needs, and teachers need to be aware of how we can best serve them. In this presentation, we will touch on what is seen throughout each classroom and help prepare you for this career. We will begin with the growth pattern of children. While you read through this slide, please enjoy little Molly Wright and her TED Talk.
What if I was to tell you that a game of peekaboo could change the world? Sounds impossible, right? Well, I'm here today to prove it's not. Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm 7, and this is my little friend Ari. Say hi, Ari. Hi. Oh, and this is my neighbour, Amajot. He has to take Ari away now to get ready for our experiment. But don't worry, they'll be back. My talk today is about some powerful things you grown-ups can do that shape us as children and the adults we become. How do I know? Because my parents and people around me did them, early and often. I know not all kids are as lucky. Some of my friends, some kids at my school, and many around the world. And I would really like to help change that. Thanks to scientists, we now know just how important the first 5 years are for our health and development, especially our brains. Ari started learning long before he was even born, from inside his mummy's tummy. When Ari was born, he was tiny, and he cried all the time. He was always hungry, and he pooped a lot. Now, he laughs and giggles and makes funny noises. But those are just the changes we hear and see. There's way more going on inside. So, let's talk more about our brains. The blue bag is the rough size and weight of a healthy baby's brain at birth. The red one is a baby's brain after the first year. It almost doubles in volume. And by my age, it's almost 90% the volume of an adult brain. Our brains develop faster in our early years than at any other time in our lives. It can create up to 1 million neural connections every second. But we need your help. Our healthy development depends on these top 5 things. 1, connecting. 2, talking. 3, playing. 4, a healthy home. 5, community. All of this helps our brains and us reach our full potential. So what's something you can do that can really make a difference? Scientists call it serve and return. That's just a grown-up way of saying connect, talk, and play with us. And here's the really big news. Amajot, Ari, you ready?
Ready?
Copycat games build imagination and empathy.
And
Naming games build vocabulary and attention.
is it Daddy? Ari, Daddy, Ari.
And games like Peekaboo, yep, Peekaboo, actually build memory and trust. Each time you talk to us, play with us, make us laugh, it not only builds and strengthens our relationships and mental health, it actually teaches us some of the most important life skills. From making friends, to taking a test, to getting a job, to one day maybe even starting a family of our own. Interactions early and often matter. Take it from me, the 7-year-old up here, talking about brain science. Okay, now, let's see what happens when the connection is taken away. So now he's trying to get his dad's attention again. He's reaching out like, that was fun, why have you stopped? I know it's important for adults to use their devices sometimes, but kids are hardwired to seek out meaningful connections. Not receiving them causes confusion and stress. Okay, Amajot, please re-engage.
Sorry. Okay.
Now, what if a whole childhood was like that last 30 seconds? How hard it would be for a child to feel calm, to feel safe, to learn to trust anyone, and the lifelong impact that would have. That makes me feel sad. Ari only reacted the way he did and recovered so quickly because the connection between him and his dad is usually so strong. The positive relationships with the grown-ups in our lives gives kids the confidence we need to try new things, to explore, and be a kid. So please try and remember, the most special period for our development is the first 5 years, starting from inside Mummy's tummy. What's something really impactful you can do? Serve and return. And when? Early and often. Please give it up for Amajot and Ari. Every moment together is an opportunity to connect, talk, and play. Imagine the difference we could make if everyone everywhere did this. To us, to children, it's so much more than just a game. It's our future. Thank you. See? Peekaboo really can change the world.
Hello, my name is Melissa Williams, and I'll be talking to you about childhood developments. Developmental theories provide a framework for thinking about human growth and learning. An understanding of child development is essential because it allows us to fully appreciate the cognitive, emotional, physical, and social and educational growth that children go through from birth and into early adulthood. There are 7 main developmental theories. Psychosexual development, which was Freud. Psychosocial development was Erikson. Behavioral child development came from B.F. Skinner. Cognitive development was Piaget. Attachment theory was Bowlby. Social learning theory was Bandura, and social cultural theory is Vygotsky's view. If you look at our diagram to the right of our screen, it shows each theory and a picture depicting that type of behavior that we would see in children. My personal perspective, as a teacher, I have witnessed the changes that were described in Piaget's cognitive development. I also believe that children are influenced by their environment, and some may have an attachment to their caregivers. It is our job to teach and support our students in all areas, socially, emotionally, and mentally. Teaching is the most rewarding profession. In conclusion, some of these theories are not accepted now. They all had an important influence on our understanding of child development. Psychologists today utilize different theories and points of view to understand how kids grow, behave, and think. Understanding how children change and grow over childhood requires looking at many factors that influence physical and psychological growth. Genes, the environment, and the interactions between these two forces determine how kids grow physically as well as mentally. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I'm going to be talking to you about childhood development and how it relates to classrooms and teachers. There are 4 main domains of child development that include cognitive, language, physical, and socio-emotional development. These milestones are things that a child can do by a certain age. Most children develop these skills and abilities roughly in the same order, but the timelines aren't exact. They vary from child to child. It is an educator's responsibility to foster children development and learning in all of the domains, as well as general learning skills like attention span, memory, self-regulating, reasoning, problem solving, and different approaches to learning. Some milestones from the cognitive domain include critical thinking, reasoning, and memory. In the language domain, children learn to communicate with others. They have vocabulary and written language skills. In the physical domain is where the children learn about fine and gross motor skills, hand-eye coordination, and balance. And in the socio-emotional development domain, children are learning how to get along with others, play, and understanding and expressing their emotions. Check out this brief video about childhood development and how it may affect you as a teacher in the classroom.
What if you could take action to reduce crime, improve health and education levels, increase family incomes and state revenues, and improve the quality of life in communities throughout your state? Where would you begin? Science tells us that we may find the solutions to these complex social problems in early childhood, when the architecture of the brain begins to form. Brain architecture is built over time and shaped by experiences, starting in the earliest years of life. The most important experiences come from the environment of relationships that interact with each child: parents, extended family, and caregivers of all kinds. But serious adversity early in life can disrupt healthy brain development. Both brain architecture and behavior are increasingly difficult to change as individuals get older. So what happens early matters for a lifetime. Now imagine you can take action to improve the lives of children and the quality of life in this community. Where and when would that action be most effective? The links between policy, parenting, and brain architecture become much more clear when we can see how formative events and family and community environments affect child development. For example, policymakers want to make their communities safer, or improve children's learning, or reduce the cost of chronic health problems. A child raised in this environment may experience lower levels of stress and more opportunities for learning. That leads to sturdy brain architecture and a healthy stress response system, which prepare the child to achieve higher levels of literacy and other skills early in life, and later leads to improved school achievement and decreased dropout levels. Positive early experiences can also reduce levels of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Increased health and education levels can have positive effects across society, like reduced crime and increased income and tax revenues. Policies affect both individuals and communities, so making wise choices that support early brain development can improve health, behavior, and learning throughout life.
Now that you've learned a little bit more about childhood development, what does that mean for you as a teacher? Teachers should be aware of the different stages of childhood development and know and understand how to promote the different milestones within each domain. Teachers should also be aware of ACEs and how they affect childhood development. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences and could include things such as abuse, neglect, or any other type of household dysfunction. Any child, regardless of race or ethnicity, can experience adverse childhood experiences, but it's important to recognize that Black and Latino children, as well as children in refugee and immigrant families, children in some Asian American families, and children in Native American families have been found to be more likely to experience ACEs than white, non-Latino, and other Asian American populations of children. Children at any stage of childhood development have the capacity to think critically. So educators should recognize the importance of their role in creating a rich, play-based learning environment that can encourage development of knowledge and skills across all the domains of childhood development. Students thrive when they feel as if they belong and have purpose in school. It's our job to help motivate children so we can increase their motivation within their learning environment and give them a sense of belonging, purpose, and success. Lastly, in all 4 domains of childhood development, we as teachers must push students just past their current level of understanding. This zone approximal development is a very important way to make sure that we are pushing our children to think critically so they can master the necessary skills they need to be successful in school. Now we will move into adolescent development. Adolescence is the transition from childhood to adult. Please enjoy this video entitled The Adolescent Brain, a Second Window of Opportunity, Understanding Adolescent Brain Development.
We used to think the shaping of brain wiring systems tapered off after early childhood. But neuroscience tells us the brain goes through another rapid phase of change from age 9 to 14, a second window of opportunity. Early adolescence is a crucial period for brain development where many challenges begin to emerge. It is also a time of opportunity when rapid changes can be harnessed to set adolescents on a positive path. Puberty initiates intense hormonal changes when the brain is forming better and faster connections between systems, improving the ability to make decisions, solve problems, understand consequences, and to gain more control over emotions and behavior. At the same time, the adolescent brain goes through a period of greater sensitivity to social evaluation and emotional reactions. Increased sensation seeking, interest in social relationships, and exploration of identity all begin to emerge. Early adolescence brings on broadening experiences, acquisition of new skills, and formation of social networks that will have lasting impacts for the rest of a young person's life. To learn more, download the new publication, The Adolescent Brain, a second window of opportunity on the link below.
Adolescence is the period of transition between childhood and adulthood. It includes some big changes to the body and to the way a young person relates to themselves and the world. The many physical, sexual, cognitive, social, and emotional changes that happen during this time can bring anticipation and anxiety. As you read through this slide, you will see physical, cognitive, and social emotional characteristics of the early adolescence age group. During this stage, children often start to grow more quickly. These body changes can inspire curiosity and anxiety in some, especially if they do not know what to expect or know what is normal. Early adolescents have concrete black and white thinking. Also in this stage, preteens do feel an increased need for privacy. The middle adolescent stage occurs from ages 15 to 17 years. Physical changes from puberty continue during this stage. At this age, many teens become interested in romantic and sexual relationships. Also, many middle adolescents have more arguments with their parents as they struggle for more independence. The brain continues to change and mature in this stage, but there are still many differences in how a normal middle adolescent thinks compared to an adult. The late adolescent stage occurs from ages 18 to 21 and beyond. Teens entering early adulthood have a stronger sense of their own individuality and can identify their own values. They become more emotionally and physically separated from their family. However, many do reestablish an adult relationship with their parents. They consider them more as an equal from whom they can seek advice and discuss mature topics with, rather than an authority figure. Their thoughts may turn to the future, and decisions may be based on their beliefs, desires, and hopes. Here is a video more about the teenage brain and why some say they have an evolutionary advantage.
It's not easy being a teenager. There's the angst, the emotions, the raging hormones. And although hormones do play a big role in puberty, the brain is going through a lot of changes too. Neuroscientists are learning that some of the most puzzling teenage behavior may actually have some real benefits. Legally, you're considered an adult when you turn 18. But from the neuroscience perspective, your brain is really still developing.
And the current literature suggests that it's about around age 25 or so is when the brain finishes the period of adolescence.
This is Dr. Adriana Galvin, and she runs the Developmental Neuroscience Lab at UCLA. The brain develops from the back to the front, so the prefrontal cortex is the last region to fully develop.
The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain you need to make good decisions, to think about the future, think about consequences.
You can kind of think of it like the Spock of the brain, logical, calm, and collected. And then deeper in the brain, there are these emotional systems like the limbic system that are more interested in immediate gratification. They're sort of like Captain Kirk, a risk taker and a bit emotional. During the teenage years, the limbic system develops really quickly, and the prefrontal cortex is trying to catch up. Eventually, as individuals become adults, the prefrontal cortex will increasingly have more influence over behavior than the impulsive part of the brain. So, without a fully developed prefrontal cortex, you can kind of see why teens might be more impulsive, or just worry less about future consequences. Another brain region that's really active during adolescence is this thing called the striatum, and it's a key part of the brain's reward system. Let's say you find $20 on the street, or someone gives you a cookie. The striatum goes off, and it releases dopamine into the brain. Adriana's lab discovered that the teenage brain is super sensitive to different rewards like sugar and money. Way more than in the brains of adults and children. And all this activity in the brain's reward center, it may actually serve a purpose.
We asked teenagers to come to the lab and we scanned their brains while they performed a learning task. They were shown a picture of a butterfly and 2 flowers, and they were asked to guess which flower the butterfly would land on.
After each guess, they were given feedback. When the teens got it right, their striatum would get really active.
They would learn over time that the butterfly preferred one flower over the other. And everybody learned this task, but what we found is that the adolescents learned it more quickly than adults and with greater accuracy.
So having this reward center that's hyper-responsive to feedback actually helps teenagers learn from their environment. But this same region of the brain is also connected to risk-taking. Data from Adriana's lab suggests that teens with a more reactive striatum are more likely to engage in risky behavior and to enjoy it.
Rather than ask how you keep your teenager from taking risks, because we know the brain is really oriented towards risk during this time, it's better to ask, how do I provide opportunities for healthy risks?
Like trying out for the school play, even if you've never acted before, or asking someone out on a date. Those are real risks to a teenager, but they're not the kind of risks that parents typically worry about.
It makes sense from an evolutionary perspective that there's a time in life when teenagers want to become more independent, seek out new opportunities. In the animal world, this would translate into looking for new food resources or foraging behavior. And in teenagers, it often manifests as risk-taking behavior and simply moving away from the family unit.
Teenagers are going to make mistakes, but they've got this brain that's encouraging them to learn and explore and push boundaries.
So adolescence is a really special time, and I think we don't appreciate enough their energy and their ability to lead and to motivate, and how excitable they find life in a way that we maybe we don't later in life.
Our brains keep changing throughout our lives, and researchers at UC Berkeley are learning that if you give people a little bit of power, it can have a big effect on the brain. Learn more by watching our video here, and be sure to subscribe for more Figure 1.
Teenagers are growing and changing rapidly, and they may even come off as intimidating to teachers. So, what can we do to help these growing and changing human beings? Teenagers take risks, so it's good to encourage them to instead take academic risks in a safe and secure environment. We should teach sleep hygiene because teenagers struggle to get enough sleep. Teenagers can find it hard to read emotions, so it's good to help teach awareness and metacognitive skills. Teenagers also have less self-control, so it's good to limit distractions when possible or when their tensions are running high. Cognitive diversity is the inclusion of people who have different styles of problem solving and can offer a unique perspective because they think differently. As a teacher, some practical steps you could take is to establish consistent classroom routines and procedures. Another useful tool is the gradual release of responsibility, where teachers heavily model towards the beginning and transition to students needing less assistance as time moves on. It also includes differentiated instruction. Teachers who practice this strategy help students with their different learning styles. They can be grouped by shared interests or abilities, and it helps create a safe and supportive environment. It also supports social justice, equity, and inclusion, and all around has a better outcome for students. School culture is the way things are done in a school. It's personality, so to speak. A school's underlying norms and values shape patterns of behavior, attitudes, and expectations between all stakeholders in the school. Everyone involved and its surrounding community helps influence how its policies are governed and how the school operates. A school that has socioeconomic diversity has a mix of students from different income levels, social backgrounds, and in some cases, racial and ethnic backgrounds. Racial diversity is important in schools because it encourages tolerance and respect for differences among peers. That's an important trait to have as students develop into adults and enter into the modern workforce, where they are likely to encounter coworkers and supervisors from a variety of ethnic, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. On the right, you can read 4 ways teachers can address socioeconomic gaps in the classroom. We hope you enjoyed our presentation and look forward to a rewarding career in education. Don't forget to download our handouts for more information.